Welcome to my Santa Gnome crochet along. If you would like to see any details regarding what kind of yarn I'm using or what the plan is for the overall Santa Gnome, I will have linked in the description box my Gnome of the Month video for December, where I went over all of the yarn I would be using and my plans for the gnome. Okay, so to begin working on our hat, we are going to work in our red or whatever color you are using. Since I'm doing a Santa Gnome, I decided to do the kind of classic red suit and red hat with the white trim, so I'm going to be using red. And we're going to grab our crochet hook and our stitch marker. So first things first, we are going to begin with a magic circle. And if you don't know how to do a magic circle or you just need it slowed down a little bit, check out the description for a link to my magic circle tutorial. It's always in the description, so if you ever need it at any point during any of these tutorials, you can always go just pause real quick and go and watch that for a little refresher or a little breakdown to help you get it started. After you've got your magic circle, we're going to go ahead and we're going to crochet four single crochets. So there's 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to go ahead and pull that closed by pulling on our magic circle tail. And then we're going to work into that first single crochet that we made. We're going to do a single crochet and put a slip stitch or put a stitch marker into it. Now we're just going to put a single crochet in the remaining 3 stitches. So there is our second one, our third one, and our fourth one. As we're starting out working on this, try to cup your work as we go to put that magic circle tail inside. That's going to be the way that we want it to face. And we're going to go ahead and take that stitch marker out, making sure you don't lose where that first single crochet is. I know it's a little tight right now. We're going to throw a single crochet in there, put our stitch marker back, and then we're going to increase in our second stitch. And I'm just going to take a second. I'm going to kind of put my finger on the inside, like I'm trying to make this into a little hat for my finger, and I'm going to push it down so that that magic circle tail is now on the inside. And it's going to hang out for a while until we get far enough along that it can go inside of my project. But now I have it cupping the right way, and that was what I wanted. Alright, so we're going to work a single crochet increase, which means this next stitch is going to have 2 single crochets in it. And then we're just going to work a single crochet into the next stitch, pull up some yarn, and in that last stitch we're going to do another single crochet increase. And then we're going to pop that stitch marker back out again and do a single crochet. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to work 3 rounds of single crochets in each stitch, which means crocheting from where we're at, which is this first stitch, which is where our stitch marker is, all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. That's going to be 1 round. So we're going to go ahead and do that a total of 3 times and do 3 rounds of just single crocheting in each stitch. So go ahead and do that and I will meet you back. Once you've worked your way back around, you can go ahead and just stuff that tail down into the tip of the hat, which I already did. And you can use your finger or you can use a polyfill stick, which is basically like a chopstick. And I wanted to note that if, for accessibility purposes, if you're struggling to crochet a small tube, if this is hard on your hands, you can skip just doing these single crochet rounds at the beginning and just increase your way up. So far we've only done one round with increasing. If you can't crochet like this because it's too hard on your hands or whatever, then go ahead and just do the magic circle with 4 in it, and then you can go straight into increasing and get yourself a little bit of a wider base. So this is what we've got so far. We're about to do this, which is going to give us 9 stitches. We're going to do a single crochet and an increase repeat. But if this is too hard on your hands, go ahead and do this should say magic circle, not single crochet. Sorry about that. Go ahead and do the magic circle and go ahead and go right into the single crochet increase alternating rounds so that you can give yourself a little bit of a bigger base to work with, because I know that this can be working in that little tube can even be hard on my hands, and I don't have, you know, arthritis or anything. So if this is too hard on your hands to work in this tube, go ahead and do a magic circle of 4, alternate single crochet and increase for the next round, and that'll give you 6. And then now you can meet back up with us, and we're going to do single crochet increase alternating again, and that will give you 9. And then hopefully from here up, you'll have a wider base that you're working into, and it won't be so cramped up and potentially difficult for you to do on with your hands. So I just wanted to note that real quick in case, you know, for accessibility purposes, I wouldn't want anybody to be working on this gnome crochet along and then get to this point and go, I can't do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a single crochet increase alternating round again. So throw that single crochet into your first stitch and you can replace your stitch marker. And we currently have 6 stitches, so we're going to do single crochet and then increase, and we're going to repeat that 3 times because we have 6 stitches. So single crochet increase, and then single crochet increase, and an increase is 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase. And that brings us to the end of the round and puts us at 9 stitches now. So I'm going to pull up some yarn and then we can continue. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a round of single crochet, increase. And that's going to be our repeat for the round. So go ahead and replace your stitch marker after that first single crochet. And we're going to do a second single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an increase, and then we're just going to start that repeat. So single crochet, increase. Repeat again, single crochet, and this should put you at the last stitch, and it's an increase. And now we're just going to do a round of single crocheting. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker out and then replace it back into that first stitch. And I'm just going to single crochet around in every stitch until we get back to our stitch marker. Alright, and now we're going to work a single crochet into that first stitch, and then we're going to work a single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then an increase. So our repeat for this round is going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase. So there's my second, and there's my third single crochet, and there's my increase. And that's just going to be a repeat. So you're just going to do single crocheting 3 times and then an increase, and repeat that until you get back to your stitch marker. Alright, and at the end of that single crochet 3 round, you are going to have 16 stitches, and we are going to do another single crochet 3 increase repeat round. So go ahead and pop a single crochet into that first stitch and then put your stitch marker back. And at this point, if you did do the alternate way that I explained to do it, if you are having you know, like hand problems or something and you can't work this small tube at the beginning, go ahead and do a few rows of single crochets just so that you can work up a little bit of length and then continue with me. We're going to go ahead and do 3 single crochets again. So we've got our first one here with the stitch marker. So we're going to do 2, 3, and then an increase. And we're going to just do that as a repeat 4 times. So 2, 3, and an increase. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. And then we're going to go one more time, repeating that same pattern. And if you ever want to slow down or speed up or anything, don't forget you can click the little gear icon that is somewhere around the video, depending on what platform you're watching or what device you're watching it on. It'll be in a different location, but it'll be somewhere around the border of the video. If you click that, you can change the playback speed so you can slow things down if you need to. And of course, you can always pause and rewind. After that round, you should have 20 single crochets. And the next round, we are just going to go ahead and we're going to do 4 single crochets and an increase as our repeat. So go ahead and put that stitch marker back into your first stitch. And then work a further 3 single crochets to equal the first 4. And then go ahead and do your increase. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around till we get back to our stitch marker, which will be 4 repeats of our single crochet 4 and increase. Four and increase. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back at the stitch marker. And at the end of that round, you should have 24 stitches, and we are just going to go ahead and do a straight up single crochet round. So you're gonna crochet in every stitch around, and you will still have 24 stitches at the end of this round. Now we're just going to do 5 single crochets and an increase as our repeat for this round. So single crocheting in that first stitch and putting that stitch marker back on there, and doing my second single crochet, third, fourth, and fifth. And then we're just going to increase, and that's going to be the repeat for the round. We're going to do that 4 times. So 5 single crochets and an increase, and repeat that until you get back to the stitch marker. All right, and now we are just going to do 5 rounds of single crochet. So go ahead and start your round with a single crochet, replace your stitch marker, and then work your way all the way around back to your stitch marker, and that's going to be 1 round. So we're going to do that until we have 5 total rounds of single crochet, and then I will meet you back and we can continue with our hat. And once you've got your 5 rounds of single crochet, we will continue to do our steady increasing, and we're going to do 6 single crochets and then an increase. And that is going to be the repeat for this round. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, whoop, 5, 6, and then do an increase stitch of 2 single crochets in that same stitch. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around back to our stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increase, and then just one more set of those after I pull out some yarn. And basically what we're doing right now is we are working the top part of the hat that is going to kind of fold over. If you choose for it to. You can obviously choose to style your gnome however you want to, but I'm going to have mine fold over, and then we're going to do like a little ball at the end to simulate a pom-pom. If you happen to have a pom-pom, then you are definitely welcome to put a like white pom-pom or whatever you would like to put at the end of the hat, because it's going to be like a Santa hat. So we're going to have like a pom-pom at the end, and then this is going to kind of hang over, and it's going to continue like, and then this will be like where the brim is. So if that can kind of start to give you the envisionment of what we're doing here. Now we're going to do 7 single crochets and an increase. And that's going to be our repeat for the round. So go ahead and work 7 single crochets and then an increase, and just repeat that until you get back to your stitch marker. And now that we've made it back to our stitch marker after our round of 7 single crochets and an increase, you should have a total of 36 stitches if you're keeping count. But at the very least, you should be back to your stitch marker and ending on an increase stitch. So now we are just going to work 5 more rows of single crochets. So go ahead and pop out that stitch marker and stick your stitch marker back into that first stitch. And then the first stitch is where your stitch marker is. So go ahead and work all the way around so you get back to your stitch marker. And that is 1 round. Go ahead and repeat that until you get a total of 5 more rounds. And then meet me back. All right, now that we've got those 5 rows worked up, I am feeling like we've got a pretty good length for our being able to flip our hat over and kind of have it hang. So we are just going to work on doing some increasing. We are at single crochet 8 increase, and that is going to be the repeat for the round. We are just going to go ahead and work 8 single crochets. So here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we are going to work an increase, and that is going to be the repeat for this round. So you can just keep working that until you get back to your stitch marker. Alright, and after working your way around with 8 single crochets and then an increase, we are going to move on to the next round, which is going to be 9 single crochets and then an increase. So if you're keeping count of stitches right now, you should have 40 stitches, and at the end of this round you should have 44 stitches. So go ahead and work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then pop an increase. And that is going to be the repeat, so just do that again until you get back to the stitch marker. And now we are going to go ahead and single crochet 10 and do an increase, and that will be our repeat for the round. So we are just steadily increasing as we go now, getting towards the brim of our hat and just kind of letting it flare out. So we're going to go ahead and do 10 11 single crochets and then an increase. Right now you should have 44 stitches, and at the end of this round you will have a total of 48 stitches. And when you get to the last row, or the last stitch of the row, we're going to go ahead, and this is an increase, so we're going to put 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, but stop after you pull up your loop and don't yarn over and pull through 2 like you would normally to end a single crochet. We're actually going to go ahead and yarn over in our brim color, which for a Santa hat is white. So I'm using my white that I'm using for my brim that I used for the trim of my sleeves. And you're going to yarn over and pull through in that color. Then you can go ahead and you can cut your red yarn. You don't need to leave it very long, just a few inches. And we are going to knot it to the white, and that's going to go inside of the hat. So you're not going to see that. Let me just move that red out of the way. So go ahead and grab the tail of the white and the tail of the red and throw a little double knot in there. And like I said, these are going to go on the inside of your work, so you're not going to see this. But I like to do this when I do a color change just because it adds a little extra security and you're not going to see it anyway. Alright, so for the next stitch, here's what we're going to do. We are going to switch over to double crochets for our brim. And right now, since we've been working in the round, we have a little bit of a jog. So the next round is not exactly the same height yet until we were working our next single crochet. We are actually going to level this out now so that when we go to finish off our brim has a nice solid edge, all in the same height. So we're going to actually just go straight into working a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over and go through that next stitch and just work a double crochet. And that is actually going to basically make this the same height. And when we get back around, you'll see what we do to join it. I'm not even going to put my stitch marker in there because I can very clearly see where my first stitch is. We are just going to work a double crochet in 11 stitches, and then once we get to that 12th stitch, we're going to do a double crochet increase. So you will work 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And your current stitch count is 48, and you will have 52 at the end of this round. If you want to put that stitch marker into the first stitch, you can. I'm just not going to because it's very clear to me that that's where my round starts, because that's where the color change starts. So go ahead and do 11 double crochets and then a double crochet increase, which is 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and repeat that around, and then meet me back when you get back to the beginning. Okay, so as we approach the end, I am on stitch number 7 of my last repeat, and we're going to actually go to a half double crochet for stitch 8. And then a half double crochet for stitch 9, and then a single crochet for 10 and 11. And then for this last stitch, which would be the 12th stitch, we won't do an increase this time. We're just going to do a single crochet, and then we are going to slip stitch into this first double crochet. And it still has a little bit of a jog, but you'll notice that this level is all even now at the bottom, so that the edge of our hat isn't going to have like a really obvious end, and then you're going to try to slip stitch and it's still going to look wonky. This will eliminate that, but still allow us to work in the round as we're doing our hat without having to do a slip stitch at the end of each round. I don't like to do a slip stitch at the end of each round when I'm working a large piece like this, because then you'll see a seam. So sometimes it can't be avoided, but I really try to avoid that. I don't like seeing a big seam. I would rather see, you know, something like this where there's just a little bit of a jog in one spot rather than a line going down my project. So that's how I like to do it. And that makes it so that that is all nice and level now. You have made it to the final round of the hat. We are just going to do something kind of interesting for the brim to make it a little bit poofier and a little bit more interesting. So what we are going to do is we're going to start by chaining 1, and then we are going to yarn over. We're doing a double crochet, but it's going to be a front post double crochet. So the way that you do a front post double crochet is you go behind this post with your hook from the front. So you see how I'm in front of the work and I go behind it and pop out the other side, and then I just do my double crochet like normal. So instead of going into the top of the stitch, you work around that post. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my slips or my stitch marker into the top of that stitch so that I remember that's the beginning. And then we are going to do the same thing all the way around. We are going to do front post double crochets. So sliding in under the post of our last round's double crochet, and then just completing our double crochet like normal. So to break that down for you, that's yarning over, going under that post and coming out the other side, yarning over and pulling up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So it is just like a normal double crochet, except for that instead of crocheting up here into the top where you would normally crochet into, you're just going to crochet behind this. And the reason this is called a front post double crochet is because I am coming in from the front of my work and going under this double crochet post. If I was to be going in through the back of the work and going through and popping out back here and going through, this would be a double back post double crochet, and it would look like that. So just something that you maybe haven't done before, but this can be a really cool way to add a little bit of dimension, a little bit of texture, and it's going to kind of poof it all out. And we're just going to do no increases or anything this round. We are just going to do front post double crochets all the way around back to the beginning. So go ahead and work your front post double crochets and meet me when you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, so when you make your way back around, you can go ahead and continue to do your front post double crochets on these single and half double crochets. I went ahead and did that already. And then we're back to our stitch marker. There is this little chain 1 that we did that leads up to our stitch marker. We're just going to leave that. We're not going to work into that or do anything with it. But this, where our stitch marker is, was the first double crochet we did. Front post double crochet. We're going to slip stitch into that and connect these 2 rounds, and boom. Isn't that pretty dang seamless, you guys? So it's all one level at the end of our hat. We don't have like, 2 different levels of hat that we're trying to slip stitch down and it's making like a weird shape at the edge. I had something on there and I'm over here like pulling yarn out. We just have this little bit of a jog. That's really no big deal at all. We can put it at the back. But it's so much prettier than having a seam. I'm really happy with how that came out. Not that seams are the end of the world. Like sometimes you just have to have them, but if you can avoid them, why not? So here is what our hat is looking like. And I am loving the way that this brim came out. I think it looks so cute. So I wanted the hat to be long enough that you have the option of, you can either leave it like this, and we're going to make a ball to put on the top of it. You can either leave it, standing up with the ball right up at the top, or it's long enough that you can choose to fold it over and have, your ball right here and do like kind of the folded look. And you could fold it to the front, the back, the side, whatever. And in the next part of the crochet along, when we do the assembly, I will walk you through how to do any of those options that you might want. So the only thing we have left to make now is just the ball for the pom-pom of this hat, which is going to be super, super simple. And you're just going to need your white again. So we are done with back here. You can go ahead and cut this yarn. And you can choose if you would like to leave a long tail for sewing it on. At this point, you can do that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. And I'm just going to cut that, and then I'm going to weave this tail through to the inside. And what I'm going to do is actually, so my tail comes out right here. I'm going to weave it through to the inside of the hat and up a little bit as I do that. And then I'm just going to run it across these couple stitches real quick, just to kind of secure it down a little bit lower. And then I'm actually going to knot it to these other knots that I already have. So you're not going to be able to see it from the outside, but this will lock it in place just, you know, a little bit more, because why not always have the extra layer of security? And boom. And I'm going to have those be inside of the hat when I get to my assembly process. So this is what the back of my hat looks like. And here is what the front of my hat looks like. And I am very, very happy with that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the pom-pom. And moving on to the very last step, we're going to be working with white or whatever trim color you would like. If you're doing yours in, you know, a different variation of colors, you know, maybe you're not using white. But for our Santa hat, I am using a white sparkly yarn. This is Big Twist Cuddle, and I am using my 4.25mm hook. Same thing I've been using all along, and I've also got my stitch marker here. So we're going to go ahead and start with a magic circle. And once you have that magic circle, you can go ahead and work 6 single crochets into it. And I'm going to pop my stitch marker right into that first single crochet and continue on. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you've got your 6 single crochets, you can go ahead and pull on that tail to close up your magic circle. And then we are going to do an increase all the way around. So we're going to single crochet into this first single crochet. Throw our stitch marker back in there. And then put a second single crochet into that first one so that we have an increase. And then we are just going to increase in every stitch around. So there's the halfway point. And you should have 6 single crochets. So if you work into each one twice for your increase, you are going to have 12 single crochets at the end of the round. All right, and then we are just going to do 3 rows of single crochets. So go ahead and work. Pop your stitch marker back in here and work around to your stitch marker a total of 3 times. And don't forget, you want this magic circle tail end to be inside of your work. So as it starts to cup up, then just have it cup up with this in there. And you can feel free to pull on it and tighten it at any time if you feel like you need to. So we're just going to do 12 single crochets. And that's going to be a single crochet in every stitch. And we're going to do it for 3 rounds. All right, so there's round 1, and I'm going to make sure my work is cupping up the correct direction. And then I'm going to go ahead and start round 2. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do round 2 and round 3, and then I will meet you back. And once you make your way back around, we are going to go ahead and remove that stitch marker, and we are going to decrease. So we're doing an invisible decrease, which is the 2 front loops from the next 2 stitches, pull through, and then complete like a normal stitch. And I know I've showed you a few times at this point, but I will show you one more time just to make sure that you know. So you're going to grab the front loop, because we're turning 2 stitches into one stitch. So you're going to grab the front loop of the first stitch and the front loop of the second stitch. And then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through both of those, yarn over and pull through 2. So you do it just like a single crochet, except for that you are working through both front loops of these 2 stitches. And you go through both of them before you yarn over. And then you just complete it like a single crochet. So we're just going to do that in every stitch, turning these 12 stitches back into 6 and cinching up our ball. And then after we have finished decreasing, we are going to grab our polyfill and we are going to stuff our ball. Okay, so it won't take much polyfill, but we're going to go ahead and grab that. We're going to want to cut this yarn so that it is long enough to sew with. And then we can go ahead and pull up on the working yarn so that it is out of there, and we can take this stitch marker out because we are done, completely done with our stitch marker for this whole project. And then we can go ahead and stuff this, and you can use your finger, you can use the polyfill little stick that comes with it, you could use a pen or a pencil, a chopstick, like whatever. Literally you can just use anything near you that is convenient. And I'm just using my finger because, you know, it's attached to my hand and I might as well use it if it's there. But sometimes the hole can be a bit small and you can get a little more precise with the little polyfill stick. So whatever your preference is. And then just stuff this nice and tight. This is going to give it a nice round shape. Really fill it out there so that it has a ball form. And then we are going to go ahead and we're going to sew it to our hat. So grab your darning needle of choice and thread your yarn onto it. Now this type of yarn, if you're using velvet yarn or chenille yarn, it does tend to come off at the ends. So there's a couple different things you can do for that when you're threading it onto the needle, because it can get annoying. You can just pinch and pull and just kind of pull off the end part of it like that. That way you can just work with like a kind of a balled nub to pull it through. Or one thing that I sometimes do is just take a lighter and flick it just a little bit real quick through the tip of the flame. And it'll kind of melt the fibers together and then they won't go anywhere. So it'll just give you a little melted fiber end, and it's not noticeable or anything. So you can do that if you would like to. And then what I'm going to do is I left this open just a little bit, and I'm going to line that up with the top of my hat. And then I'm going to just start sewing my way around. So pushing through basically the top of the single crochet and through the top of the hat. I'll take it off so you can see. So through the single crochet and through the hat. And I've got this on here, and then I will actually come out on the other side also through the top of the single crochet. So kind of doing twice the sewing with one swoop. And then we're just going to pull that through nice and tight. And now same thing for this side. We're going to go through the top of the single crochet, in through the hat, and out the other side also through the top of the single crochet, just like so. And you're just going to do this and repeat this all the way around. And you can do it as many times as you want just to secure the ball to the top of the hat. And I'm just going to work in a, would this be clockwise or counterclockwise? I'm just going to keep going around in the same direction, working my way through one side and out the other side. And if you get little pieces of your yarn coming off like mine is, just throw them to the side and don't worry about it. But this is going to secure this on here very nicely. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. And like I said, you can just continue to go around however many times makes you feel comfy. It's not going to mess it up, or you're not going to be able to, like, you know, see that you went around a million times. So you can genuinely go around as many times as you'd like to. But I would at least go around one full circle. That way, you know, it's all nice and secure. You can get all those little frays off of there, but that secures it on super nicely. It's literally like one conjoined piece, and you've got the pom-pom now attached for your hat. And you are done with the crochet portion of this crochet along. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that I've been clear enough and made this as accessible as possible to everybody. And I am super excited to meet back up with you in the next video and assemble everything. Oops, I almost forgot to tell you how to tie off. So when you're all happy with how you have woven in and attached this, you can just poke up into the ball of your hat here, pull through, and then you can just cut this and boom, you are all good to go. And if you just kind of squeeze this a little bit and massage it, that little tip that was there will go inside of the puff ball, and now you have no tail.